Hello, and welcome to the Self-Help Podcast. I'm your host, Kayla, and today we are going to be talking about solo dating. Now, you might be thinking, what even is solo dating? And don't worry, I've got you covered. I'm going to be explaining exactly what it is, why you should be doing it, and how it will help you develop the best relationship with yourself possible. I highly encourage everybody to solo date, whether you're single, in a relationship, just trying to get to know yourself better. Every single person on this planet can benefit from solo dating. And I have a special treat for you towards the end of this episode where I'll be sharing with you the details to my solo dating workbook guide that will help you make the most out of your solo dating journey. So be sure to stick around for that. So let me answer the question of what is solo dating? Now, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's literally just taking yourself out on dates, whether it be to a cafe, a bookstore, a museum. It's pretty much all about enjoying your own company while being alone and learning to love the moments that you spend with yourself. Solo dating has been super important in my life because it has helped me cultivate my self-love and self-confidence. And it also helped me break the notion that we need somebody in order to complete us, or we need somebody to go out on a date with. I've been on quite a few solo dates. However, when I started consciously solo dating, which means actually consciously thinking I'm going to take myself out on a date, not just, oh, let me go grab something to eat because I'm hungry. No, I get dressed up, I take myself out, I go out on a date. The reason why I started doing this was because I was in a relationship where I wasn't being taken out on dates anymore. And I felt very unloved. You know, one of my love languages is quality time, and I wasn't getting that from my ex-partner. So instead of nagging him, which I did do, instead of doing that, because I found out that wasn't really working and it was making everything a lot worse, I started taking myself out on solo dates, not for an outcome of him to start taking me out on dates, but because I was craving that for myself. It wasn't necessarily that I wanted him to take me out on a date and that was it. I genuinely wanted to go out and explore and be adventurous, and I had this desire to do new things and stop staying in the house so much. And of course I wanted to spend time with him as well, but it's also super important to spend time with yourself. And it's super interesting because once I started taking myself out on solo dates, I then started to notice that my ex-partner also started taking me out on dates again. So it was really interesting how that correlated. I didn't really do it for him to start taking me out on dates. I did it for myself. As you can see, solo dating definitely helps us to reconnect back with ourselves and embrace our own company. And it helps us to realize that we don't need anybody else. And if somebody else is in our life, it's only an addition. It is not something that's going to complete you, and it's not something that you absolutely need, because once you learn how to solo date and do things alone and do things by yourself and really enjoy your own company, it's almost 10 times better when you do have a partner that takes you out on dates, because you're not living from a place of lack anymore. You can provide those things for yourself, and then it's just nice to have somebody be able to plan and do it for you. So I haven't really announced this on the internet yet, but I am in a relationship now. I know, round of applause. Very exciting. It's very funny because in previous episodes, I remember telling you guys that I'm not looking for anybody. I'm not going to be with anybody for a long time. And then God put someone in my life. So it is what it is. But I'm very happy. And I grew a lot before getting into this relationship. So what I want to say is that even though I'm in a relationship, I still take myself out on solo dates weekly. This is something that is super important to me and always will be. And this is something that it's almost like a habit. I know that every single week I'm going to take myself out on a solo date because I deserve it. Even though my partner plans dates as well, I also take myself out on solo dates, and I also hope that he does the same. If you're in a relationship, that doesn't mean that you don't need to take yourself out on solo dates, because that is almost the most crucial time to take yourself out on solo dates as well, because if you're spending a lot of time with a partner or with friends or with family or whatever, you need to take the time for yourself to reflect and also be with yourself. I want to address maybe a couple misconceptions you may have when it comes to solo dating. If you're not really into it, you might think that it's sad and lonely and like, why would I want to go out on a date by myself at a restaurant? Like, aren't people gonna think I'm weird? No, it's actually empowering, and it has improved my self-confidence so much because I know that I can walk into any space and not feel weird or awkward, and I know that I'm good alone whether I talk to somebody or not. Actually, I make it a point on my solo dates to not have full-on conversations with other people because I'm spending the time with myself. I respect myself in the way that I would respect a partner. So when I was single and I would go out on solo dates, of course there were men that came up to me, wanted to get my number, this, that, and the other. However, I would politely decline and I would say, I'm on a solo date right now and I'd really like to spend time with myself. And then if they ask further questions, I'd explain what a solo date was, but that's it. Most of the time they were very respectful about it. The reason I did that is because I treat myself as important as I would a partner if I was on a date with a partner. If you're on a date with somebody and then somebody else comes up to you and they're asking for your number or they're asking to sit next to you, it's kind of rude to be like, oh yeah, sure, when you're literally on a date with somebody else. So treat yourself with the same respect that you would treat another person. Another misconception would be that solo dating is only for people that are single, and I kind of touched on this, but this is absolutely false. It is for anybody who wants to prioritize their own happiness and their relationship with themselves. And if you don't know how to solo date, don't worry, I'm gonna share some tips with you right now. So if you've never been on a solo date before, I highly recommend you to start small. Start with like smaller solo dates. That way it's not like this big to-do that you're like, oh my God, I need to go on a solo date and I'm really scared. No. Start with really small things like maybe go to a cafe, go to a bookstore. Barnes & Noble is one of my favorite places to go on solo dates to. I'll literally like go shop for a book, buy a book or 2 or 3 or however many I want. And then I'll go sit at like the little Starbucks cafe and I'll order something to drink or eat and I will read my book right there. It's one of my favorite solo date spots because it's like super casual, but also very nice and cozy. Another solo date idea you could do to like start small is to like go for a walk in a park or grabbing lunch by yourself. So the goal here is to ease into this experience and to appreciate the little moments that you're creating for yourself. And once you start doing these small solo dates, you're probably going to have the desire to take yourself out on maybe some more extravagant outings. Also, make it super intentional as well. So be mindful of your surroundings. Make sure you're in a safe space, especially if you're a woman and you're alone. Make sure you do some research ahead of time and make sure you plan the date ahead of time just as a partner would for you. Make sure that you're planning your date and not just like going out spontaneously. I mean, you could do spontaneous things as well, but I personally like to plan my solo dates because it makes me feel like I'm a priority in my own life. It's not something that I'm just going to put on the back burner and then figure out. Be mindful of like what you're feeling, what the vibe is. Don't do something that you don't feel like doing. Do something that you're actually excited to do. One of my rules for solo dating is that I do not fill that time with distractions. There's absolutely no phone scrolling. I'm literally just present in the moment. Sometimes I'll read depending on the date, but most of the time I will literally just be in my own thoughts, staring off into space and enjoying my time. Be sure to spend time doing something that you actually enjoy. Like if you like art, go to an art gallery. If you like nature, go on a hike or something. Don't just go on a solo date because you think it's the proper way to go on a solo date. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Just do something that you genuinely love and enjoy. Also, another rule that I have for solo dating as well is most of the time, I will dress up. If you would dress up for another person, you should be dressing up for yourself as well. It's going to elevate your experience and make you feel even more special. It's honestly just so much fun to be able to do my makeup, do my hair, dress up, and then take myself out on a nice date. And sometimes I even get myself flowers after. So one thing that I also recommend is to bring a journal to reflect on your experience. If there's any thoughts that pop up or anything that you feel like you want to journal about during your solo date experience, I highly recommend you to bring a journal with you so that you can reflect on it. Think of the journal as if you're talking to somebody else, but you're actually talking to yourself, because if you're on a date with somebody else, you're normally going to be talking. So I know I said like no distractions, no phone scrolling, etc., but I feel like a journal is totally fine because that's you sitting with your own thoughts and journaling about what you're learning about yourself. So that is totally fine, but I would try to stay off your phone, because if you're on your phone, you're not spending time with yourself, you're spending time with random people that you're seeing on Instagram. I really like to take myself out on new solo dates as well, not just restaurants or whatever the case may be, because I like to learn new things about myself. I like to do things that I've never done before because it up-levels the experience that much more. And that's exactly what my solo date workbook guide helps you with, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. So let's talk about the benefits of solo dating. So the first benefit is that you really get to know what you enjoy, and you also learn about like what you don't like too. When I've been out on solo dates, I've ordered meals that I was kind of iffy on, where I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to like this. And it actually helped me a lot because it helped me to not feel so much pressure to really enjoy something if I didn't really enjoy it. So it really helped me to learn what foods I like, what foods I don't like, what activities I like, what activities I don't like. It's literally the best practice to help you learn more about yourself. It also helped me to increase my confidence, and the more that you go out on solo dates, the more confident that you will become and the more comfortable that you will be being by yourself. It also helps you to stop seeking validation and approval from other people, and really helps you to prioritize yourself and put yourself first and not rely on other people for your own happiness. Okay, and the last point I want to mention is that it also gives you clarity about what you would like in a relationship. It also makes you understand what truly matters to you when it comes to partnerships. And this is something that helped me a lot, because when I started solo dating, I realized that I want to go out on adventures. I want an adventurous man. Like, I want to be doing new things a lot and actually be able to learn more about myself, not only when I'm with myself, but when I'm with a partner as well. I don't want it to be the same old mundane, boring dates that we always go on, right? Like in past relationships of mine, we'd have like a favorite restaurant and we would always go to that restaurant, which is beautiful and amazing, and I loved it. However, it kind of took away from newer experiences and the spontaneity of new experiences and the adventurous aspect of me. You know, I'm a Sagittarius moon. I need travel, adventure, and very exciting things happening. And as much as I love to be, I don't want to say wined and dined because I don't drink, but as much as I love to go out to eat with my man, I also love to experience new things and be able to not have the dates be so mundane and boring. So that's something I've learned about myself as well. You may be completely different, but this is why it's super important to take yourself out so that you do know what type of dates that you would like in the future with a future partnership. Now, I know solo dating may sound intimidating, and especially if you've never taken yourself out before, or maybe especially if you're shy or you're not used to being alone in public spaces. That is why I've created my solo dating workbook guide, and this comes with 52 solo date ideas for the entire year, and it starts with some free solo dates and works its way up to more extravagant, expensive solo dates, so it can fit anybody's budget. And this guide is designed to make your solo dating journey a lot easier and less intimidating, and it also comes with journal prompts to document your solo dating experiences. It includes date ideas that is tailored to different moods, and it also comes with an introductory to solo dating, which is pretty much what this video was, but if you want a written guide as well, that is in the solo dating workbook guide. So if you want to experience these 52 solo date ideas for the entire year, the link will be in the description to get your solo dating workbook guide, and be sure to take photos of your solo dates and tag me on Instagram, and I would love to see them and repost them. That is it for today's podcast episode. I really encourage you to give solo dating a try, whether it's once a week, once a month. I would highly recommend once a week, but I know that that might be a little much for some people, but once a week has been pretty standard in my life, and it has absolutely changed my self-confidence, my self-worth, and it has helped me so much on my self-growth journey as well. And this is all about making your happiness your responsibility. You deserve to be your own best friend, and solo dates really help you to nurture that relationship with yourself. If you loved this episode, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below and give this a like if you're watching on YouTube. And be sure to comment if you've been on a solo date. What was your favorite solo date that you have been on? Because I want everybody to read the comments and get some ideas for solo dates to take themselves out on. Once again, be sure to check out my solo dating workbook guide. I promise it will change how you approach your solo dating journey so much. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Self-Help Podcast, and I will see you in the next one. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye.